welcome to episode 91 of the internet sensation known as Triple Threat Talk. I am the Doctor. With me, as usual, are just Kendra, Big B, Brandon DeMuro, Postmaster Jones, Mr. Jimmy Biggers.
So now last week.
So 2 weeks ago, hold on. 2 weeks ago, we go from without Postmaster Jones
I was here 2 weeks ago. I was here 2 weeks ago.
That's right. You were with us in spirit.
No, I was here
last week.
Nobody was here last week. Y'all were off. I was on vacation and you three were sick.
Yeah, we were sick.
Who knew? I think you just didn't want to do the show without me. It's okay to.
We can say that.
And that's what makes you feel better.
Nothing makes me feel better.
First, we want to address Mr. Buck in 5. This is all that's left of your box. It was very good. Thank you very much for sending us those treats and sweets.
It was good. See, compliments to the candy company.
Treats we couldn't pronounce.
And the only reason this will probably get eaten tomorrow, but the only reason this little guy's still here is because there was a lot in there and we just couldn't eat it all. So, but this will probably get eaten tomorrow, I imagine.
Actually, there was a fight over the last candy bar because we doubled it up amongst the four of us, and that was the odd one out.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play Twister later for the final candy bar.
If anyone's able to move. So thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. We now know what the people on Cult Moo, that's another shout out to them, we're doing and tasting and testing. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much, Buck in 5. We do appreciate it. You are the man.
And before you get into headlines, I would like to make a brief announcement.
Oh God, it's announcement time.
I would just like to say I want to take this time to congratulate Mr. Terry Bodie and Mrs. Cheryl Conley.
Now Sherry Bodie.
Now Cheryl, not Sherry. Cheryl Bodie. They were happily wed this past weekend in New York. So congratulations to Cheryl and Terry. That's awesome.
Yes.
Glad to see and congratulations definitely from all your pals here.
It's a long time coming.
Mr. and Mrs. Bodie.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Bodie. There is now a Mrs. Bodie.
So now there's a Mrs. Fan Advocate.
The Mr. and Mrs. Fan Advocate.
That's right.
I like that. Because of the absence last week, some of the questions were dated particularly for last week, so we're just going to jump in the headlines here and restart questions. And it actually works out better, too, because we have a 68 field... 64 now, but started out as 68 March Madness field to go into. That'll probably take a couple segments. Mm-hmm. So, without any further ado, would you please?
No,
that way.
He was. Well, we were all gone last week.
It's taking me a while to get back into it.
I can tell. You need to wake up over there. You need something more than water.
I need something more than water.
That's some Diet Dude. So, Big B.
Oh, sterilize that.
If you would please.
Sterilize you.
Big B.
What?
I'll ask again. I'm not asking a third time.
Okay.
Would you please?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Doctor, give me the news. I got the bad case of the headline blues.
Get the birds, get the side. Flex those obliques. Yeah. It is time for headlines. The biggest headline of the week, the NCAA tournament, we will get to later.
That's
it's going to
a
take
huge one.
It's going to take a couple segments. I'm going to fill out my bracket on the show as we're doing.
That's probably why we're not doing questions.
NFL free agency was pretty big over the last couple of weeks. Greg Jennings leaves the Packers for the Vikings. What's the over/under on the number of death threats he received for doing that?
Brett Favre did.
Seriously, that's ridiculous.
He's following Brett Favre.
Wes Welker goes from the Patriots to your team, the Broncos.
Yes.
You got to be happy about that.
Very excited about that. That's an awesome pickup. Tom Brady's not happy about it, but Tom Brady's loss is definitely Peyton Manning's gain. As if Peyton Manning needed any more weapons.
He's got another one to throw to.
Ed Reed to the Texans.
It's breaking now.
Wow. Breaking now. And the two that in particular you and I are very excited about. Actually, there is one more before we get to that. Steven Jackson does go to Atlanta, which if you follow me on Twitter, you knew that before it happened.
Again, we're still here.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Anyways,
Percy Harvin a particular note, I wanted him for the Niners.
You got Anquan Boldin.
He's going to be a great addition to the Seattle Seahawks.
I am sad to see Leon Washington go, but that's the transition. I think Percy Harvin's going to take his role returning kicks as he's lights out fast. So.
Then I don't think there's any argument as far as price for this guy goes. Anquan Boldin, the absolute hero of the Super Bowl and most of the playoffs, besides Joe Flacco, on the AFC side of things, is traded to the 49ers for a 6th round pick. The mystery of NFL, guys. I mean, that it may not be because I think the acquisition definitely goes to you, the best acquisition.
Yeah.
But I think the deal deal of the offseason right now goes to the Niners. Anquan Boldin for a 6th round pick.
Yeah, because Seattle gave him a 1st round pick, which is justifiable for Percy Harvin.
Oh, yeah.
Anquan Boldin's like, oh, here, you take him. Just give us something. Just give us something for it. We don't care.
And then 16 teams got compensatory picks, so we got that pick back.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
And then, Wes Welker didn't really... I don't think the Patriots really fought for him, Wes Welker. The Bears aren't going to have Brian Urlacher next season. They don't really fight for him. The Ravens don't really fight for Ed Reed.
The Ravens aren't fighing for anybody. I don't know what the heck the Ravens are doing. The Ravens won the Super Bowl and it's like a dumpster fire.
I think once Ray Lewis left, they're just like, okay, goodbye. See you later.
See you guys later.
Out with the old, in with the new.
I like what somebody said earlier today. They said, so with all these people leaving the Ravens and it's mostly defense, who's going to play defense for the Ravens? And they're like, Joe Flacco. He just play both. It'll be like the old times. Play offense and defense. They just have to play both sides of the ball.
I think on the AFC side of things, before it's all said and done, you're going to have, I think your forerunners for the Super Bowl next year have got to be the Broncos, the Patriots, the Bengals, and the Browns. I don't see...
I had the Texans with Ed Reed.
But see, defense, I mean, they need a lot more on offense.
Yeah,
I mean, because Schaub... Yeah, he had a game, or he had a record career game, but then he went back and followed up some horrible performances.
You gotta like how Indy looks too.
And one other free agency note: we all know we've had Watergate, we've had Spygate. Now we have Faxgate.
Oh, with Doomerville, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Elvis Doomerville. How do you not, as his agent, which he's no longer his agent now, obviously, he was fired, get a fax sent to get your player paid and get it sent on time? I don't understand it.
I don't get that.
That was a mess and a half. The Broncos are trying to, because they had to release him, they tried to go through, I forget the name of it, but the NFL bylaws or something with the NFL to where they could get him back without having to actually, where he wasn't effectively released.
Right.
But now they actually have to re-sign him before he signs with another team because he is a legitimate free agent now. So that was a weird story all in itself, and he actually now has Peyton Manning's agent is his agent, Mr. Tom Condon.
It's a pretty good agent.
So I would imagine that they're going to do everything in their power to keep him with the Broncos and try not to let him go.
We shall see.
Yep, we shall see.
Rex Ryan says the Jets QB job is open. Really? We had to be told this?
That's the understatement story of the century. So let's run this down here. They have Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow. They signed David Garrard, and now there's talk that Kevin Kolb is going to get signed by them because the Cardinals released him.
You seem like you wanted to say something.
So ridiculous.
I don't understand.
Only in New York.
I don't understand how you have 4 quarterbacks on your roster, for one. And for two, all of them are terrible except for Tim Tebow, and they don't want to play him because it'll hurt Rex Ryan's pride.
And an update to Tim Tebow: he actually got an offer from the Orlando Predators in the AFL, the Arena Football League, and he might go there.
What?
So
I hope the NFL's not going to use him.
No. I mean, I agree. I just feel like Rex Ryan needs to
Orlando
swallow his
Predators.
pride. Like Tim Tebow is a good.
He's good.
He's a good player.
Like
he is clutch. He's a clutch player. I mean,
the Broncos wouldn't have made it 2 playoff runs in a row without him. Without because he wouldn't have gotten the first one.
Back in the Tebow thing. Kudos to the executive for the Predators because Tebow's from that area and they're going to sell tickets.
Absolutely.
That's what Jacksonville should have done, but the guy's like, we don't want him. So.
They're going to pay him too. I mean, they're going to have to pay him.
He's not going to make that much.
He's not going to
not that much, but
he'll make good money.
When I lived in Jacksonville, I went to their games. It was barely full, but they had a decent team. And now if they get Tim Tebow, they'd sell out, but they're not going to do it.
Nope, they're not. You're right.
The NFL, they need to
It's their
get it
problem.
together.
Their problem.
Postmaster noting on there our next story: Miami Heat 23 games in a row winning streak. It's
The second longest streak in the NBA history. They are behind the Los Angeles Lakers streak of 33 in a row.
33.
They look like all signs point to they want this, and I think they're going to get it.
Yeah, I think so too.
They got a few roadblocks in the road. The Bulls, which without Derrick Rose, that team is an absolute mess. I don't know if Derrick Rose wants to play anymore, or I don't know what his MO is.
Imagine playing at home.
He says it's more mental than physical. I'm thinking,
we don't pay you to be mentally healthy.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then they play the Spurs, which will probably be their toughest test
Absolutely.
on this stretch. But
Won't it though?
yeah, absolutely. That'll probably be, and that very well could be a preview of the NBA Finals. We could see the Spurs
yeah,
and Heat
that's a
in the
possible.
Finals as a possible. But it looks like the Heat wants this. I think it's good because a team of this caliber can get disinterested very quickly.
Absolutely.
Because they have a double-digit lead over everybody.
Yeah.
In the Eastern Conference. It's insane. They have a humongous lead over to the Pacers, who are in second.
Win 23 in a row is going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's astounding, and I think the fact that they're the lead story in the Sports Center every night when they play, the guys see that they're not dumb. They see that they're, and so it's good for the NBA from the standpoint it gives it extra exposure than it already has, and a lot of people want to complain that. In the NBA, players seem to be all about their self and try to get their stats during the regular season. It seems regular season is more boring, and then when you get to the playoffs, it's all about the team, teamwork. And with this team here, they just look like they're having fun. It's like this ain't work. This is like going to the playground and shooting with some buddies. This is fun to me.
And one of the best things about it, it's not one of the teams like that you always have seen for the past 50 years. The Lakers, the Celtics, you know what I mean? It's a new. Well, they're fairly new.
The newer, yeah.
I mean, they've won a couple titles. They won with Shaq and D-Wade. Now they're
They've never
with
been
D-Wade and LeBron.
But they've never been like a dominant powerhouse like we know, like Lakers. They've
never been that huge team.
Yeah, now they're like the team.
I mean, see, and the only team that I see, as we talked about, that can even derail them are the Pacers. And there's only like 4 teams in the league that could defeat them, and one of them in their own conference. The other they'd have to face in the finals. So, I mean...
And another team, too, that's on a bit of a hot streak, and this is the first time in NBA history
13 games.
This has happened. 2 teams in the same season with win streaks of 13 or more. The Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, they're 30-3 at home. At home, 30-3.
I wouldn't want to play in Denver, that's for sure. I guess the altitude is playing off on the NBA.
Football and NBA.
Exactly, so... And
speaking of the NBA, Tyson Chandler adds to an already hobbled Knicks team. He's got a neck injury now. He's out for a week or 2. So that's kind of weird.
That team looked like it was going to be a contender for the Eastern Conference Championship at the beginning of the year. And they have just been absolutely demolished and shredded by injuries. Yeah. I mean, injuries and bad play.
I like that team. They got a lot of good players.
I mean, they got a lot of good.
When they're healthy.
They got Carmelo, Jason Kidd,
J.R. Smith.
Yeah, J.R. Smith.
They had Tyson Chandler.
Yeah, so...
yeah, they had Tyson Chandler.
Yeah, exactly.
The Dominicans win in over Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic title game in a sweep of 3 games. This is a big deal for Latin America. They pretty much... I heard earlier today that... people want to say, basically it was alluding to the fact that Americans are the best athletes. I don't think that's the case all the time because they were saying the Americans didn't want Justin Verlander wasn't pitching all he could pitch. I'm like, if you don't compete, no matter what
this is like the Summer Olympics for baseball.
Yeah, I mean, flat out, the Dominicans beat the American. I mean, they beat everybody because they won that. I don't care. I don't care if you can have any excuse in the book.
Yeah, but baseball is the one sport where the Americans aren't the dominant.
And the other one is soccer.
It's obvious.
Yeah. Soccer is also the other one.
And we can't be good at everything.
No, we can't be good at everything. And I think baseball and soccer.
Baseball and soccer,
absolutely. So we'll be back after this quick commercial break, and we will get more into headlines, and we will start covering the crazy thing that is the NCAA tournament right after this.
Mentos fresh and full of life. the Fresh Maker.
And we're back here on Triple Threat Talk. The esteemed one, the doctor, is hard at work in his NCAA bracket over here.
Hard at work.
Along with Big B and just Kendra, who are just kind of hanging out, waiting for the commercial to be back so we can get more into headlines. So speaking of more headlines, we go to Big B.
Me.
Who will tell us about the Indian Wells.
Mm-hmm. All right, so for the first time since last year, you have Nadal playing Federer. Monumental matchup.
That's a great matchup this early in the tennis season.
Two great players, two of the greatest of all time. Didn't turn out that way. Nadal just beat Federer in every sense of the word. Nadal just dominated Federer from the get-go. Federer wasn't moving that great. I don't know what it was, but Nadal just trounced him. I think it was 6-2, 6-2. Very easily defeats Federer. Not the match we were all expecting, but he moved on to the semifinals where he defeated Tomas Berdych to get to the final. The other person that made the final was, you think they could make the final, was Novak Djokovic. They battled a lot last year, the two of them, Djokovic and Nadal. Djokovic didn't lose a match all year until he got to play Del Potro, and Del Potro defeated him to get to the finals, and then Nadal won in 3 sets to beat Djokovic in the final. Nadal beat Del Potro in the final in 3 sets, and Nadal wins his fourth title this year, I believe, which is astounding. He's making a good comeback. He looks very dangerous now. I still think Djokovic is still the better player, but Nadal's making a case for himself that he's back fully the way he's playing. And then, the headline, the other one is to Miami. They're actually heading down to Miami for the Sony Ericsson Open this upcoming week. Djokovic is going to be there. Nadal's going to be there, so it should be an exciting tournament coming up in Miami.
All right, good stuff from Big B there. A little something from 2 weeks ago that I bring up that I was really wanting the doctor to bring up for the sake of mine and Kendra's purposes mostly, but so the other two of you could chime in, and that is the fact that Tiger Woods absolutely obliterated the field 2 weeks ago in Doral. The reason why I bring this up is because the doc has made the point of, well, the first time he won, he kind of questioned the field of golfers that was in the tournament. Well, this time there was no questioning involved. It was pretty much everybody who's anybody was in this tournament. And he absolutely just took him behind the woodshed. And I think he is really putting his foot down as he wants to regain that dominance.
Yeah, we saw the old Tiger.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only thing people are talking about when it comes to Tiger Woods is him dating Lindsey Vonn.
Yeah, exactly.
I was about to say that. I heard that. Yeah. That's a good look.
That's an interesting fit, isn't it?
The funny thing was...
What's that?
How we found out is how everyone finds out their information now via Facebook. It's Facebook official.
And his ex-wife is dating a billionaire now, so... And, of course, she's worth $300 million because that's how much he had to give her.
You know what she's after for.
Exactly.
The rich just kept richer.
Exactly. And on the NASCAR, I was actually in attendance this week.
Where?
Bristol Motor Speedway.
Bristol.
Saw everything from an argument to a pit road scuffle it led over to even an argument on Twitter where one driver told the other driver, "Would you like my address?"
Oh, no. Wow.
So apparently Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin aren't the best of friends.
I would say not.
The race saw lots of lead changes. Jeff Gordon dominated for the longest time. Had a tire go down. Went careening towards the wall. Matt Kenseth was second, was closing in on him. And he kind of barrel rolled him like a shotgun. He went right through him. And so basically there was nothing left of Kenseth's front end. On the final restart, Casey Kane and Brad Keselowski was on the front row. Keselowski got such a hard push that he got his tires jacked up in midair, allowed Casey Kane to get away and win. His first win at Bristol, he was very excited. That's a bucket list track for a lot of NASCAR guys to win at the place known as the Coliseum of NASCAR, Bristol Motor Speedway. And so now, Brad Keselowski is your points leader. He holds a small points lead over Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's in second. Jimmy Johnson, after a late race mishap, drops to third in the points. And they head to Hollywood this week, Auto Club Speedway, California, for the race there. So it should be good stuff. So with that, I know something we normally don't talk about on the show because it's the NIT. Who cares? Nobody cares.
What we usually deem as the non-invitational tournament.
Yeah, the not invited to tournament. And it's the tournament of Okay, so what? Well, this year we have to talk about it because UK was in it. Or, let's just say...
Not in it.
They
Not
were
for long.
Not for long.
It's no secret they didn't want to be there.
No, they didn't.
You can tell they didn't want to be there. They had to go play in a gymnasium the size of a Cracker Jack box. Held just over 3,000 people in the middle of God's country in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh.
Right.
Robert Morris.
Robert Morris. Have you even heard of Robert Morris?
Actually, yeah.
As a basketball.
Yeah, they were in the tournament a couple years. They were in the big tournament a
I
couple
was
years
like,
ago.
Robert Morris.
They were good a couple years ago. They made a run a little bit.
They made a run and they won their division. They won their conference.
They were good a couple years ago. This year, not so much.
So Robert Morris pulls off, and you know what? I'm kind of like Coach K, Stork Storming.
Court storming.
What the heck? What is snort corn?
He flip-flopped it.
Court storming can be ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But in this case,
it shouldn't have been. Like,
I don't blame them. That had to be the biggest win in that school's ever history.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it was a down Kentucky team, it's obvious.
Yeah.
It was a down Kentucky team. But 10 years from now, they can say, hey, we beat Kentucky in our gym.
You know what, though? So can, Gardner Webb. They can say that. VMI can say that.
See, I think this loss is worse than that.
I don't think it's worse than Gardner Webb because the problem I have with you saying it's a worse loss than that is the fact that not every school that beats Kentucky is going to be the number one win of that school because, for one, this is a down Kentucky team. Although they did land another top name recruit today, Julius Randle did decide to go to UK today over the Blue Devils. But anyways,
Gotta get them to play together first.
I know, right?
You get all the recruits you want, but if they don't play together, it doesn't matter.
But the problem I have with this Kentucky team, and I told you, Archie Goodwin, and I don't care if anybody hears me, he knows it. Archie Goodwin is lazy. He is all about him. The game at Vanderbilt for the SEC tournament, he fought his own teammate for a rebound. Just absolutely pathetic. He drove into the lane 3 times with 3 or more defenders. Yeah. He just makes absolutely horrible decisions. And what's more is, I see the potential in an Alex Poitras, but Alex Poitras seems to kind of do whatever Goodwin does. So he's kind of rubbing off on Poitras in a bad way. People are talking about how Wiltshire now might be transferring. Harrow says he hates it there and wants to transfer out and play his last year of eligibility at another school. So this is not the Kentucky team that won the national championship.
No.
And what I think people need to realize is, I'm not a Kentucky fan by a long shot, but this was just a down year. It was a fluke. It's just like a fluke. Next year, I honestly know that they're going to be a much better team. Not just because they are getting all these recruits. That plays a part in it. But next year, I think that UK is going to be a force to be reckoned with because every school has their year. Look at UNC. Like, UNC used to be, you would always consider UNC to be a top contender, but they're flopping around.
Down here too.
So I think people just need to keep that in mind. Like you said, they can get all these people. They have to jail well. I think Cal can get them to jail well, just like he did with these last boys.
And that's exactly a good reason. The reason for that is because he's going to be able to look at tape and show on tape.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you don't put yourself to the side. You are part of a team, and this exactly is what's going to happen. There is no ifs, there is no ands, and there are no buts. This is what's going to happen. You're going to have a horrible year if you don't do this. And what Cal did this year, I don't understand. He's telling me last night that people are ready to say kick Cal out. I don't get that because we knew going into this season that Cal did what they call mortgaging the present to deal with the future. And that's what he did. He knew that this wasn't, everybody knew this was not going to be a fantastic recruiting class. We don't know what Noel's going to do. We can only assume that Cauley Stein's going to be coming back because no one wants anybody on the NBA from an NIT team. They couldn't even make it past Robert Morris. So you've got all these questions that you don't know, and if you get a little bit of that leadership back, or somebody stays and somebody becomes a pronounced leader, you're absolutely right. Next year, this team is going to be dangerous because they've got a tough kid in James Harrison that's going to be running the point. Yeah, he's a freshman, but so was John Wall, and so was Brandon Knight, and so was Marcus Teague. And we saw how that all worked out. Ryan Harrow came from NC State, and they weren't anything last year.
Right.
I mean, this year they're good.
Yeah.
I can only assume that they're better because Harrow's not their point guard.
Right.
Well, I agree with you to an extent. The thing where I think to say that we all knew this class would be bad or not that good would be, I don't agree there because the pundits wouldn't have had them rated as high as they did. I know part of that was because of what they did the year before.
Because of what they did.
But even still, you heard a lot about who they had coming in. And even though it wasn't going to be as good as the year before, the one coming in, the one thing I hate about all this is on potential. Like next year's class, the year after class, any class for any
drafts
school.
on is potential.
I know, but it's all on potential. It's like this year, they got all these guys in, and it's all on potential. Next year, I think if any of these guys come back, if I was Cal, I wouldn't play them over 5 minutes a game.
Nope, I wouldn't play Goodwin at all. I'd put Goodwin in a cheerleader outfit and say, you cheer because you deserve to be embarrassed for what you did to this school.
It's pretty pathetic when your basic walk-on bench warmer is the best player in the NIT game, Jared
Paulson by far.
I mean, the best player on the team last night. He was the only one trying.
If I was Cal, I would have only played after about 5 or 6 games in when I saw what a bust Archie Goodwin was going to be. I would have only played Jared Paulson because Jared Paulson wants to be there.
He worked his butt off.
He wants to play. He deserved that playing time, and I won't shame our coach into much. He deserved. I don't blame him for the NIT bid. I don't. Like you said, it's going to happen every now and then. It's a fluke. I will put one thing on Coach Cal though. Shame on you for not playing Jared Paulson more than what you did this year when it turned out Archie Goodwin was going to be a bust. Hopefully this was a humbling experience for Coach Cal, saying sometimes your bench warmer is going to be better than the guy that you have on scholarship, and when that happens, you just have to push pride aside. It happens in the NFL all the time. All the time. We saw it in Seattle.
The guy who played at a SIAC school in the NFL for the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean,
it happens all the time. But one thing I will say, Cal is a good coach.
He is absolutely.
A good coach, and I'm not taking anything away from him. It happens all the time. When right before Mike Krzyzewski started having success at Duke, he was on his last season before he was about to get fired. So it happens all the time. Like, you have losing seasons, you lose people, you got to go to the NIT or something equivalent to it, or you just don't have a good season. So, not to take anything away from him as a coach, I think it will get better next year, but I guess this was a learning experience for him. And I'm pretty sure some of the veteran coaches, the Coach K's and the Bob Knights of the NCAA are telling him this, I guess, on their private conversations, like, learn from this.
Yeah.
Because it's
going to have to.
I think Cal's biggest problem is, more often than not, it seems that he can't coach the mediocre player or the lower player.
And see, I disagree with that.
Because he had Derrick Rose in Memphis. He didn't make Derrick Rose better. The reason why Derrick Rose was as good as he was, he had the raw talent. Yeah. The reason why John Wall was as good as he was is because John Wall had the raw talent. It wasn't because of Cal's coaching ability.
I disagree, though.
Because he a lot of times, like last year, he had 6 guys go to the NBA, and not one of them is sitting on the bench. They're all playing somewhere. It's not like he had 6 guys go to the NBA and they're all just sitting on the bench. Just like in '96, with those guys on Patino's championship team, there was 7 guys on that team that went to the NBA, and they all played. There was no bench warmers. They all played. And when you have a team that's like 6 players, they go to the NBA off this team, it doesn't take much to coach.
Yeah.
When you got that much raw talent and that much ability on one squad, you don't need to be that good of a coach. When the player is that good talently, mentally, physically tough all around.
I only have one example because of what you said. He's bringing in all these one and dones. DeAndre Liggins, though, he was a mediocre player, and Coach Cal turned him into a phenom. And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Coach Cal, because Gillespie sure as heck wasn't working with him. We'll be back. Triple Threat Talk right after this.
No one expected me to be here. No one expected me to be a starter, to hit game-winning shots, or even play in this league. Well, I'm not here to live up to anyone else's expectations. I'm here to live up to mine.
And we're back here on Triple Threat Talk. Postmaster Jones, Jimmy Biggers, along with Just Kendra, Big B, Brandon DeMiro, and the esteemed one, my PIC, the doctor.
Partner in crime.
We're definitely partnering in crime in tomorrow.
That's right,
Later
buddy.
on today. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Later on today, the two members of Triple Threat Talk will be represented as we're headed down to Rupp Arena for first round NCAA action. We're going to check out the number 1 overall seeded Louisville Cardinals battle the North Carolina A&T Aggies, and the Colorado State Rams against the Missouri Tigers.
Did you get that interview with Russ Smith?
We were almost, hey, we're going to see if we can maybe talk to somebody, because a lot of times after the game, I saw this when I went last year, some of the players will get right up there depending on where they go.
Depends what time you get there.
Depends on what time you get there.
Never know.
But anyways.
So Bracketology 101. Triple Threat Talk Bracketology.
Big B, throw up the bracket.
We'll go up, here's the bracket there. You see all the different matchups. We'll start down here to the far right, and we'll go with Miss Kendra here.
Kendra,
Kendra, who do you think is going to be in the Final Four? Who's your Final Four, and who you got winning the national title?
Here's the bracket that you can see, and then what matchups. Since obviously we don't want to go over all of these games.
Yeah,
we'll be here till like
what
tomorrow.
matchups pop out to you, and then give us your Final Four and who wins it.
You're on the spot.
My Final Four consists of Indiana, U of L, Duke, and
Gee, there's no
Wait,
bias there.
whoa, time out. Not to correct you, but U of L and Duke cannot both make the Final Four.
She was hoping for it.
sorry.
Is there a way you can do that?
Well, I have, let's say, the championship game. I have U of L, and the only thing that just seems practical is IU. I mean, basically.
And who you think will win it?
I think that's hard to say, but I think U of L can win that game.
You think this is little brother's year?
I think it is.
People want to keep it in Kentucky.
Honestly,
if it's gonna go anywhere, I prefer it to stay here.
I mean, IU is a good team.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be an easy game, but I mean, basically, if U of L plays like they played in the last half of the game against Syracuse, and if they play like that the whole time, then they can win. But if they play like they played in the first half against Indiana, they're absolutely going to lose the game. So.
One quick stat about Louisville that I forgot to mention before we started with bracketology. In the history of Ken Palm defensive rankings, since 2003, so basically 10 years, Ken Palm has been keeping defensive rankings. This year's Louisville team is the number 1 rated defense all time in the 10 years since the Ken Palm defensive ratings have started. So that's pretty impressive.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Big B.
All right, so my Final Four consists of Louisville,
Ohio State,
VCU.
That's a good one, fella. It's a good
Shocker
upset.
Smart, and I can't go against Miami. They've been playing incredible basketball last couple of months. Even they came back to beat North Carolina ACC championship.
I have a reason why I have Miami that far too, and I'll get into
Okay, and then
that.
my championship game. I said this 2 weeks ago to you. I said Louisville and Miami. I think they're the two best teams playing right now. I think Louisville showed how good they were in that Big East tournament game, especially being down 16 to Syracuse in a game they probably were going to lose, but they somehow came back and won that game. And then Miami, they came back to North Carolina in the ACC championship. I like the way Miami's been playing for a long time.
It helped that Syracuse folded like an Italian beach chair.
This is true. My final is Louisville and Miami, and I have Louisville winning the national championship.
I went with U of L, Ohio State, the University of Florida, the Gators, and Miami, Florida as my Final Four.
So same as me, just for one minute.
I have U of L and Miami in my championship game.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah. The reason why I have Miami this far is this, and you might agree to my reasonings. The reason is this. Miami is a 2 seed. Miami got hosed.
Mm-hmm.
Miami is going to be mad. They should be a 1 seed over Kansas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easily.
No doubt.
Hands down, they should be a 1 seed over Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Miami's going to be mad. Miami did something that not a lot of teams can do.
Mm-hmm.
They won the regular season ACC title
And the championship.
and the ACC tournament. So they beat Duke twice. They beat North Carolina twice. Not a lot of people can do that. And not a lot of teams do that. U of L won the regular season Big East and the Big East tourney. But that don't happen often.
No. And the thing you think about, that's going to happen next year. They're going to play each other.
Last year, Kentucky's team was dominant, and they didn't even win the SEC tournament. So that just goes to show you how hard it is to do that. So I think Miami's got something to prove. They want to prove that they belong, and that's why I think they're going to play Louisville in the national title. I think Louisville wins. And we all know defense wins championships. I think Louisville's defense is what's going to carry them to the victory this year. Mm-hmm. They're going to need some shooting spots, but they're getting good. Luke Hancock's been shooting out of his mind for the last 6 to 8 games. If he keeps that up, if they get a little bit more production out of Gorgie Jang in the middle, and like I said, they keep this defensive pressure up, I just don't see anybody beating them. I really don't.
And I'm going to get into mine, and this is going to lead actually into my Final Four, too. What you said about Miami is absolutely true. They have something to prove, and they did get hosed. There's no doubt in my mind that Miami should be playing Western Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt at all in my mind.
I mean,
Kansas has been an iffy team at best.
what's the TCU?
The only reason Miami is not in my Final Four is because they are in the same part of the bracket as Indiana. And I think Indiana is a little bit better of a basketball program than Miami. They're the Big Ten. They have so much talent on that team. So many people can get hot from the outside, and they're so good on the post and in the background. So without further ado, my Final Four, I have Michigan State, and I'll explain why in a second. Ohio State, Georgetown, and IU. Michigan State and IU in the championship game with IU prevailing. The reason I don't have Michigan State in is I have U of L and Michigan State playing each other in the Elite 8 round. The reason for this is earlier in the year, U of L took a trip to South Bend, and yes, Notre Dame has lost to U of L twice since then, but on their court, they forced them to play a style of ball that they themselves are not familiar with. Notre Dame does not play a slow down type of ball.
Right.
When they are at South Bend, they do. When they are on the road, they change it up a little bit. But out at South Bend, so you're looking at half the time this year, they were playing a style of ball that they play 50% of the time. They slowed U of L down and put them into their game, and that's what zoned U of L out of that game.
To counter your point on that game actually went 5 overtimes.
It went 5 overtimes.
Louisville had the game won and blew it in the last minute of the regulation. They gave away 3 or 4 bomb away threes that went in, and they lost in 5 overtimes. So,
but the final score is indicative of what I'm talking about.
I agree to an extent, but I also disagree because if you go 5 overtimes with a team, even though the scoring was low,
very low score for
they gave that game away. They shouldn't have lost. I think that.
And then they played them again, and they
played them again. They blew them out. They played them again. They blew them out.
It's just one of those things. If a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his hiney.
Could be, but I mean, you played them 3 times. You blew them out twice, and you lost them in 5 overtimes.
I know.
I don't like that point. I mean, everybody's allowed their opinion, and I'm just disagreeing.
But the reason I'm bringing that point up is because when you play a team like Michigan State in the Big Ten that plays that slow down type of ball, that forces you to play their kind, U of L likes to run. And that's when U of L is at their best. They like to defend the ball very well, which they do extremely well. But there's really not a whole lot defense can do in a team like Michigan State that shoots the ball as little as any other team that U of L is going to be that they've faced all year. So you can pretty much, the defense is going to be good, and they're going to force them to take some off-key shots. But at the same time, it's going to counter just from the style of ball that Michigan State plays. So that's the reason I've got Michigan State going on here. I have the Gonzaga losing to Kansas State in the round of 8 in Sweet 16. You said that as well, that you don't think Gonzaga.
No, I don't think Gonzaga's going to make it very far. I think they did play. What a lot of people don't realize about Gonzaga, and I think this is why you put like I did. Even though they did play a very tough non-conference schedule, they really did play a very tough non-conference schedule. But they've been playing cupcakes for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been playing the Betty Crocker University for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to catch up to them. They're going to run into somebody. And, I mean, they lost to Butler, which Butler's in the tournament, and they're a good team, but they're not as good as they have been in the past.
Right.
And their only other loss was to, I think it was a Big 12 school.
It was a Big 12 school.
But I can't remember which one it was. So I
think it was Kansas State.
It might have been, yeah. So.
But and then the other big one, not to prove that I'm not shying away from a point I was making earlier, Kansas I said would be an easy out. I have Kansas going out to VCU, and I think you do as well.
I do.
So with that being said, every year last year I gave you all a 16 seed to watch, and that almost happened. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it this year too. I just do not like this Kansas team, and because of that, I'm going to put the 16 seed that could, as it were, as you say, Western Kentucky. If it's going to happen, I see it happening in this Kansas game. Western Kentucky and Kansas game, but I am picking Kansas to win. But it could happen.
That's the one I would look at. Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying that I want to draw particular attention to this Georgetown, Florida Gulf Coast part of the bracket right there. The number 2 versus a 15, or number 2 versus a 15 here. Florida Gulf Coast, that 15 by their name makes them seem like a weakling.
Yeah.
2 schools last year with that 15 by their name advanced to the next round.
Yep. Lehigh and
we couldn't think of the other one earlier.
I know Lehigh beat Duke. That's how we do that.
Yeah, and then Lehigh beat Duke.
And then
hey, did you hear last year Lehigh beat Duke?
Missouri lost. Missouri lost.
Missouri that lost.
Yeah, and they lost to
I can't
think of who it was. Hampton, I think.
I think it was Hampton.
Yes,
Hampton. Yes, that's who it was.
I remember my basketball.
But Florida Gulf Coast, though, they are the team earlier this year that beat Miami.
Yes,
that is an impressive win.
They did. They beat Miami.
But I think it's before Miami got their act together.
Now, when Florida Gulf Coast, a lot of people are saying if a 15 beats a 2, it could happen here. I like this Georgetown team, though. I don't see any matchup. Pretty much on the West Coast is how I take things. Mm-hmm. UCLA and Gonzaga are really the only 2 teams out west that I have any kind of feelings for. So San Diego State, I've got Georgetown running through them. I've got a close game with UCLA and Georgetown beating VCU just because they're taller and they can spread the floor a little bit better, and that's why I have Georgetown going to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. But this Florida Gulf Coast team, if a 15 advances, I think it'll be that game. Mm-hmm. So, any matchups?
And how nice would it be if Louisville played another Florida team again in the championship and they beat them again?
I know, that would be
we own Florida, apparently.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Florida.
It ain't much of an upset, but one quick matchup I do want to mention, and that was the 10-7 game with Creighton and Cincinnati. I think that's going to be a very good game to watch.
I picked Cincinnati.
I picked Cincinnati in my bracket. I took the 10 seed. I saw Creighton play Wichita State in the what is that conference? The conference of Creighton and Wichita State and all that are in.
Hold on. Make your point.
Well, anyway, that was a very entertaining game. I'm glad to see that they both made it in, Wichita State and Creighton, and I did pick Cincinnati simply because of the toughness of the Big East.
Oh, and you'll notice a certain team is in there that I said from the Horizon League.
Who?
Valparaiso. Valpo made it in again.
The Missouri Valley Conference.
Missouri Valley. And one of the upsets that I have that a lot of people are saying not an upset. Belmont over Arizona.
I have Belmont.
A lot of people are picking Belmont. Belmont can jack up the 3. They have a little trouble defending the 3, but that's okay when you play a team like Arizona that shoots about 25% from beyond the arc. So, with that being said, we're gonna come in. We might finish up with a little bit more basketball, but after that, it'll be wrestling. Coming up on Triple Threat Talk right after this.
Hey, Nick Dinsmore here. Do you have the dream of becoming a pro wrestler? Well, I did, and I came to Ohio Valley Wrestling. Join the Nick Dinsmore Pro Wrestling class today. I'm a former WWE superstar. I'm a former 9-time Ohio Valley Wrestling heavyweight champion, and I can train you to be the best today. For all the information regarding the Nick Dinsmore Pro Wrestling class, go to ovwrestling.com and click on school. Join the Nick Dinsmore Pro Wrestling class today. ovwrestling.com, click on school.
And we're back here on Triple Threat Talk. Postmaster Jones, Jimmy Biggers, along with Just Kendra, Big B, Brandon DeMiro, and the esteemed one, Gary, the Dr. Locker.
Steamed.
So just to wrap up the bracketology 101, I guess. Looks like Just Kendra, Big B, and myself have U of L winning the national title. The Doc is going with IU, so we're keeping it local and regional here. We got hoping to keep it within our area. Good luck to everybody out there and with your teams and your brackets, if you're in office pools or work pools or whatever.
Hopefully not with my usual brackets after the first day I just rip it in half.
And as I say to everybody, as I say it every year, let the madness begin.
Oh yeah, let the madness begin. So speaking of that madness, on to some more madness. Wrestling.
It's madness. Anyway.
OVW coverage.
Yes.
OVW. Actually, I went to the show last week.
Okay, yes, right.
I was hacking and coughing, but I made it last week. The Coalition has 2 teams now, Alpha and Beta. And
so it's now.
Well, I mean, it's still the same.
So now it's like the NWO and NWO Black.
Well, no, they're not fighting though.
No, I'm saying
LWO,
so it's like the NWO and the NWO Black are there with half the rosters on it.
Well, basically, Jason Wayne is over the former members of Bowling Services, Jack Black and Joe Coleman, and Crimson has the wild cards on his team. And basically, they had a 4-way, not a 4-way, but. Jason Wayne was involved in a match with Jamin Olivencia, and Crimson was involved in a match. I forgot who he fought, but Crimson advanced and Jamin Olivencia advanced, and the winners of those 2 matches the winner of that match is the number 1 contender at the Saturday Night Special. Okay. So it was a very good show.
So Jamin has already lost the title?
Well, what happened was.
Did he just win the title?
He just won the title, but what happened was he punched Jordan Barker at some point during the match, and they went back to the tape, and Doug Williams said, basically what happened, Doug Williams said, you punched the referee, you can't punch him, so you should have been disqualified. He took it to the board of directors, and the board of directors informed Michael Hayes that he had to force Jamin Olivencia to give him the title. So he said... Jamin tried to actually hand Doug Williams the belt, right. Don't worry. He didn't even try to hit him with it. He was so distraught. And then Michael Hayes said, I'll do that. And then Doug Williams said, I don't want the belt from anybody. I want the belt from referee Chris Sharp. So they forced Sharpie to come out and hand him the belt. So
for a poor Sharpie.
Poor Sharpie.
He gets picked on like nobody's business.
But it was a... very good show. Would have been better, as I said, as I tweeted out, with Heidi Lovelace on the show. Yeah. And I think her and Taylor need to. It's good whenever they're both on the show, as far as part of the
Taylor's more in TNA now.
Yeah,
she was at some TNA house shows.
Taylor Hendricks was at some TNA house shows that were coming through the region. She even had a title shot.
Velvet Sky.
She actually fought
Velvet Sky.
One of the Blossom Twins and Soho Bolt for the TNA Knockout pay-per-view that's coming up soon.
And the Blossoms were in action, by the way. That reminds me, the Blossoms were in action. One of the Blossoms did go up against Taylor Hendricks, and Taylor Hendricks did lose.
Yeah, of course.
But it's OVW is getting good again. It stopped really just briefly. It's always been there, but it's getting back to where it was. They're doing some interesting things now with the Coalition and with how they're handling some of their championship scenes. Oh, and a Bon Jovi looking knockoff.
Rockstar Squad?
Yeah, he won British Field Camp.
Yes, and he defeated Jesse Goddard's twice this past weekend.
But he did beat Cliff Compton for the TV championship.
Yes, he did.
That's giving him a nice push.
So I was not expecting that.
Cliffy!
I didn't really know what was going on, but Cliff only gave him one of the championships because he has 2 now for some reason.
That is weird.
I'm confused.
But he kept one and gave the other one to Bon Jovi's evil twin.
Alright, so if you want to follow anything OVW, check out ovwmania.blogspot.com, ovwrestling.com if you're in the Louisville area, channel 138 WKYI on Saturdays at 1 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and also on www.blip.tv. So that's OVW this week.
Yep.
Moving on to WWE, we're inching ever closer to that one particular pay-per-view that we all...
So everyone talks about.
Yeah.
Some called WrestleMania.
Even people that don't watch wrestling somehow get involved with WrestleMania.
Aren't you going? Are you going with us?
No, when is it?
Huh?
April 7th.
April 7th.
April 7th.
April 7th.
Is that a Sunday?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a Sunday.
It's always on Sundays.
Yeah,
Sunday night.
Yeah.
All right, so we found out
The Rock's going to be fighting too.
Yay!
We found out this week the stipulation in the Triple H Brock Lesnar match.
Stip with Trip.
Yeah, the stip with Trip.
You interrupted him to say that lame sentence.
I did. You said lamer, but continue.
All right. So the stipulation is, and I quote, if Triple H loses, he must retire.
I've heard this before.
I have
As a wrestler or as the COO?
as a wrestler. But didn't he just come out of semi-retirement to wrestle this match anyway? So what the hell?
It's like, weren't you just in retirement? Yeah. Then you're out, but you're gonna come back in? Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna lose anyway.
I don't think he is. At WrestleMania, I don't think so.
No.
Apparently now we have a tag team title match.
Oh, okay.
Team Hell No will be defending their tag team titles against Big E Langston and Dolph Ziggler. So now Dolph Ziggler is going for the tag team titles.
Wait, that's what Dolph Ziggler's doing at WrestleMania?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You're welcome, Big B.
He still might cash in. It's still
He needs to cash in after what Jack Swagger did.
Alberto Del Rio and the Jack Swagger feud keeps getting hotter. Jack Swagger broke Ricardo's ankle this past weekend on Monday. Broke.
Sure. Broke it.
Broke it.
That was implied.
CM Punk and The Undertaker feud is getting hot and heavy. It's getting very good.
I was going to address something that we didn't get to address last week because we were all absent, but a lot of people had a problem with CM Punk interrupting the memorial service, so to speak, with The Undertaker.
It's called True Heat, fella.
Right, well, I'm saying I liked it.
I like it.
It's true. People didn't like it because they were saying it was disrespectful.
It's not.
It's not like he said, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just like, Paul Bear's dead. Good. He didn't do anything like that. All he said was, he was trying to, edge The Undertaker on, like, I'm sorry for your loss at WrestleMania. He didn't say anything about Paul Bear whatsoever. So I like what CM Punk did.
So this week...
The mocking this week was a little...
It's fun with your like it was a baseball.
Yeah, this week was a little different. Undertaker was in the ring talking, and all of a sudden you heard...
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Come on.
That's what he was doing.
You heard that.
So they fade to the back, and there's CM Punk using the lid of the urn as a mouthpiece, trying to talk like Paul Bearer.
Oh my goodness.
No, even close.
Yeah.
He even drops the urn at one point.
Oops. And he said, I'm sorry, no disrespect.
Yeah, like
Butterfingers.
But good feud there.
Yeah, I like it.
Another match that was announced for WrestleMania. Ryback
They changed
versus Mark Henry.
I figured they would do that, yeah.
So Ryback is no longer Sheamus and Randy Orton's partner against the Shield at WrestleMania. So now they need a new partner. And of all people.
No, don't say it.
Why? Number one, first of all, I don't understand it. How do you go from immediate heel to face like this? Makes no sense to me.
Don't say those words.
So now at WrestleMania it will be Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns, the Shield, taking on the Viper, Randy Orton, the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus, and the Big Show.
Well, WrestleMania's gonna have the Big Show.
Why? Why? I don't understand.
Knucklehead.
I don't get it. Why does the Big Show all of a sudden get to be a face? And why does he get to fight the Shield?
I don't think he is going to be a face. I think they said it online. They said sometimes bad guys join the good guys to fight a greater
Something
evil.
I heard, which intrigues me, is that I heard for a while Randy Orton was going to go heel and people were just talking about him joining the Shield. I'd like that.
That would be good. I just hope the Shield wins.
They're not going to. They want to not. WrestleMania, the faces. All the faces are going to WrestleMania, guarantee it. All faces.
They usually do. Faces win WrestleMania every year.
Well, not
Just about. Yes, they do. If you look at the track record of WrestleMania,
most of the time.
faces pretty much win every
Most of the
match.
time, yeah.
Every year, just about.
I think Punk wins though.
But they're building it up very good.
If
Looks
Paul
like
Bearer didn't die, then yes. But
I don't know, because they both want to take time off. So who knows?
CM Punk is actually hurt. He's playing hurt, and he probably shouldn't even be wrestling the match. But he's
take time off. He's not like doing a lot of events wrestling.
Yeah. So they're definitely doing a good job. They're building up stuff very good.
That's good.
A lot of stuff coming up. It's what we got 3 weeks.
It's about another thing I forgot to mention that happened on Raw. Inducted Booker T.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Booker T.
5 times.
and we saw Stevie Ray in the previews
5
too.
times. 5 times.
All right, we can count to 5. You don't have to count from
Heavyweight
Sesame Street.
champion of the world, Booker T, is inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Interesting to put him in the class.
It is. I like it though.
I do, but it's because like they had Bruce.
It's a pretty loaded
Bruce
class.
Sammartino's from New York. Donald Trump's from New York. It's just I didn't think they would put him in there. But
Well, I mean, he might
It's
be.
not just New York.
well, I'm saying it's
New York.
heavily featured.
New York.
Those bag of munchies. Anyway,
Yeah. So, with that, that's wrestling this week.
it is
Short and sweet.
To the point.
And to the point. So with that, ladies and gentlemen,
boys and girls, children of all ages,
do we have any wild cards?
anybody besides myself.
I do, but I'll let you go ahead.
So, first tennis match of the season occurred last
Oh
week,
yes, that's right.
and it was bad.
Oh.
All of us got beat pretty badly. My team lost 6-1, 6-love. Started out pretty good. First service game, our team won on my serve. Then after that, we just didn't win any other game after that, pretty much. So I won the only game for our team, which I feel happy about. But anyway,
Good job, Big B.
But anyway,
Way to go, Big B.
I would take one for the team.
I was still feeling under the weather, so I was kind of not as ready physical-wise that I should have been. But I'm feeling 100% now. We have a match on Sunday. I'm going to be all ready for that. I'll play as good as I know I can, and we're going to hopefully do a little bit better this time.
That's one saying I never really have understand. When somebody says they're under the weather, we're under the weather every day.
Yeah, it was under the clouds.
One day it could be snowing, it could be raining, it could be sunny, we're under the clouds.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Okay, anyway, I'm done. That's my walk card.
I just wanted to mention that I had a marvelous time in Florida
You're
last
not
week.
mentioning it, you're rubbing it in.
No, I'm just letting you know.
When we were coughing and sneezing, you're like, sunshine, Disney World,
I went to a Brave spring training game. Got to see some of the.
Once again, rubbing it in.
spring training.
I know, fella. You didn't have to remind. Spring training. Spring training. But it was a good time, all in all.
It's still baseball.
Yeah, still baseball.
Speaking of baseball, we all four actually got invited to a networking event with the Cincinnati Reds,
The Reds.
which we will be
I thought
attending.
we said that.
Well,
we have.
Yeah, well, we're
Just a reminder.
reminding you.
Is
Thank
this
you.
a friendly reminder?
friendly reminder? Put it on your calendar. But yeah, we're gonna get ahead to that. That should be interesting.
Big gulps, huh? Well, see you later.
Look up, up, see. I can go all day with that. We have
Alright.
an idioto of the weeko.
Other than you, no.
I'm a 3-time idiot of the week. I'll take it.
You're the three time. Idiot.
We got to win a viewer of the week.
We do.
I mean,
We didn't ask any questions.
I know, but I mean, come on.
I guess Buck and Fuck, because he sent us the
Buck and
And since we liked it, I like the Pocky.
Yeah, the Pocky.
Yes, Kendra liked the
I've eaten Pocky for years. I told them I knew what it was right off the bat. It's a Japanese biscuit stick.
Biscuit.
That's what it's called. It's a
And they
biscuit
have
stick.
strawberry
They
flavor.
have strawberry and cluster.
Sounds like a dog. Biscuit.
And I-
Is that like
Biscuit.
bulletin board?
I've eaten Pocky. It's a lower calorie thing with chocolate. It's really
Hockey
good.
sounds like hockey.
It does.
Sweet.
Hockey rhymes with hockey,
It does. All right. Anyway.
which is a bunch of mashlaki.
Wow.
Wow, anyway, before we're out of time here, if you want to like us on Facebook, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/triplethreattalk. You can follow us on Twitter at triplethreattalk. Send us any comment or question on your blogs at triplethreattalk@yahoo.com. And of course, visit our fabulous website, triplethreattalk.com. This is Big B.
And this is just Kendra. You guys have a nice night.
This is Gary the Doctor.
This is Postmaster Jones, and I'll leave you to this thought. Why do you sterilize a lethal injection needle before giving somebody a lethal injection? Think about that one.
And I'll say it one more time. Let the madness begin.
Some food for thought from Postmaster about injections. Give me a break. See you next week.
I could have talked about the prostitute.
show.